Seriously, did you think I was going to use that for the theme song for my podcast after all this time not doing one? No, let's try that again.
Come on, y'all. Let's get with it, people. Hey, from Monday through Thursday, I'm dead on my feet. Most of the time, I'm too tired to eat. When I try to read the paper, I fall fast asleep. As soon as Friday rolls around, I lay on my weekday books down. I put on my glam rags and pay the time. Hey, 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 hey. Oh, yeah, yeah. 'Cause that's when I party down. Party down. Party hard. Party down.
That song you just heard was Living for the Weekend by Mick Collins and Detroit's The Dirt Bombs, a great band who hasn't released an album in about 12 years, haven't really been touring or playing live shows that I know about. I think they're still around. I don't know. Love the band, love that song. I hope I don't get sued for using it. There's no real significance to any of the posters you just saw flashing by. I literally just grabbed whatever posters were on my hard drive at the time. So it is a bit of a mess. This is going to be a little chaotic, a little experimental, definitely a work in progress. I have never done a podcast before except for appearing on others' podcasts, and but also I realized that I just can't be writing 5 to 6,000 words a week for my Substack when I could just talk about stuff. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to have some writing each week. I'm going to have some talking each week. This is the talking portion if you haven't figured it out. Hopefully you'll enjoy this enough to maybe become a paid subscriber. I could use the $5 a month if you can spare it. But anyway, let's talk about this week's box office and the weekend and what movies are coming out. You'll see that there's some writing about it that you can just read if you want, or you can just watch this. It is Halloween on Friday, which is pretty significant only because people don't go to the movies on Halloween. Halloween, kids go trick-or-treating, adults go to parties, maybe they watch some stuff at home, some horror movies at home, maybe. But it's not really going to the movies is not a thing. I mean, there are some horror movies in theaters right now, like Black Phone 2 and Shelby Oaks from last week, which I enjoyed the latter more than the former. Your taste might vary on that. But this weekend, we don't have any new horror movies, but we do have a kind of a weird mixed bag of re-releases and like one movie that's expanding wide after a pretty decent opening last weekend. Let's talk about the first movie, which I think is going to be the number one movie this weekend.
It's time. The world will know you as pop stars. But you will be much more than that. You will be hunters.
Hey, this is the men's bathhouse. Get out of here.
They're stealing the souls of our fans? Let's send those disgusting demons back to the depths where they belong!
Yes, K-pop Demon Hunters is coming back to theaters. It's kind of crazy. This is a Netflix movie. It is Netflix's biggest and most watched movie ever, apparently. And they actually already released a sing-along version in theaters back in August, and it made 19.2 million in 2 days, which is pretty crazy. It was the number one movie. It was in 1,700 theaters. You know, Netflix barely reports a box office, if ever. This is like only the second time that I know of that they've reported box office. And so re-releasing this over Halloween weekend. I mean, maybe they're hoping that it's gotten even more fans who'll want to go see it with an audience and sing along and stuff. It's a good chance it will, and it'll do pretty well this weekend, I think. Maybe not a Halloween proper because, again, other things to do on Halloween, but you never know. Maybe there could be kids showing up dressed as characters. But one of the things that's going to make this difference is that AMC is going to be playing it, which AMC has never played any Netflix movies so far because they don't agree with the whole like day and date thing and with that with the windows that Netflix wants. And I've had a lot of debates about this with other colleagues over the years about whether what's the big deal? Report your box office. It's not that but Netflix just doesn't do that. They're really focused on the streaming and they report how things do on streaming. But K-pop Demon Hunters, it was an exception, and it did well enough that it was number one. And it came at a time when at late August when the box office needs some help, and it did help. If I did this correctly, you can see the box office, and I will scroll down. As you can see, that it came out August 22nd, so the weekend before Labor Day weekend. which is usually a really bad weekend. So that's a pretty good number for that weekend in particular. I guess Netflix liked the theatrical experience enough to try to give it a go. I don't think it's going to do as well this time. I feel like, a lot of people rushed out to see it then, and maybe they've had that experience already. But I still think it could do 8 or 9, maybe even 10 million. But I mean, it's probably going to be number one because there's just nothing else that's going to do that well. The movies that opened last weekend, Chainsaw Man, Regretting You, Springsteen, they're all gonna drop. They'll all be below 8 or 9 million this weekend. So K-pop Demon Hunters will be number one, and then Black Phone 2 will probably do okay over Halloween. It'll probably end up like in the 7 million range, which will be less of a drop, but it had a pretty small drop already in its second weekend, all things considered. I mean, these movies, horror movies, especially sequels, they tend to drop even more on their second weekends because of front loading. People rush out to see it. Wasn't the case here, and I think it's benefiting from its October release. The fact that K-pop Demon Hunters is going to be number one this weekend just shows you how bad the box office is this weekend. Part of it's because of Halloween, part of it's because no other studio really wanted to release movies. The one exception is that Focus Features are going to expand Yorgos Lanthimos' Begonia into about 1,800 theaters, which is it's pretty minimal, but it's okay for that movie. It opened last weekend in 17 theaters. It did really, really well. It made 690,000, which is about almost 41,000 per theater, which is really good. That's a great kind of a platform limited release for them. It's a pretty strange movie. It's a remake of a Korean sci-fi comedy called Save the Green Planet, which I reviewed 20 years ago. I actually did see it when it came out. This one under Yorgos Lanthimos, it stars Emma Stone and it stars Jesse Plemons, who were in his last movie, Kindness of Kindness, which did not do that well. This was doing pretty well for in a limited release, and I think that that opening is significant, and it's going to show that that having Emma Stone and Jesse Plemons in his roster of actors is going to help the Greek filmmaker quite a bit. I expect this to expand much better than Kinds of Kindness, which tapped out at 5 million total domestic when it came out. In general, Yorgos Lanthimos' movies, I mean, the two top movies he's had, that each made like 30 point something million in domestically, were The Favorite and Poor Things, which also were the ones that got him the most Oscar attention, versus Kinds of Kindness, which did not get anything. That came out last year. But having Emma Stone, this is his fourth movie with Emma Stone. Oddly, her last few movies, I mean, three of her last five movies were with Yorgos Lanthimos. And that includes Poor Things, which did 34.5 million. She also did Eddington with Ari Aster, which is also a kind of a strange filmmaker, but she was in that one. I think it was a smaller role, and that made like 10.1 million, so it's not great. But then you go back and you see like La La Land, you see Cruella, you see the Zombieland movies even did really well. I mean, she's definitely a star. I mean, I would consider her A-list at this point. She generally has done pretty well, and she's decided to like kind of just team up with this kind of strange Greek filmmaker for these movies. I think I mean, considering how well it did opening weekend, I think that it'll probably do okay in its wide release in 1,800 theaters, which is not a hugely wide, but it is moderately wide. And right now, if I have it making about 5 to 6 million this weekend, which might not be enough to even get into the top five, to be honest. It's looking at a couple of different things, including like last week's big movies, Chainsaw Man and Regretting You, which could have big drops, but probably will still be in that same range. So it's going to be in a range with those movies. But then there's also another re-release. I'll show you a bit of a trailer for that.
Steven Spielberg presents Back to the Future, a Robert Zemeckis film. Marty leads an ordinary life.
No McFly ever amounted to anything in the history of Hill Valley.
Yeah, well, history is going to change.
And 1985 is not his year. But Dr. Brown is about to change all that.
Are you telling me you built a time machine? Son of a DeLorean?
He's sending Marty 30 years back in time.
It works!
So Robert Zemeckis' 1985 hit Back to the Future will be hitting theaters again this weekend in about 1,900 theaters. It's going to be the first time in 10 years that the movie was re-released into theaters, but Universal has been re-releasing movies left and right over the last few months. They had a big hit with Jaws in the summer. Also, actually, I think it was like the Labor Day weekend, the week after K-pop Demon Hunters. So K-pop Demon Hunters was number one the weekend it came out in theaters, and then Jaws in a 50th anniversary release, was number two the following weekend with like 9 million. So obviously, seeing that, Universal has gone back to its library and has found another movie that it thinks will do well, and it probably will. Back to the Future was one of the first movies with Michael J. Fox that really hit it big. It grossed over $200 million US, or domestically, I should say. So yeah, Back to the Future was a big hit when it came out in 1985. It was the biggest movie of 1985 with 215.6 million domestic and about 388.86 million worldwide. I'm going to try to share some info on the Back to the Future movies, which, after the first movie was a hit with 215.6 million, 388.8 worldwide, there were two movies after that, neither which did as well, I should say. But I mean, when you look at the total, that's like almost $1 billion. And so it's a movie that's kind of endured, and it's like 40 years later, it's a re-released by Universal, and I think it's actually going to do pretty well. Maybe even get into the top three with, maybe 6 million. That Jaws re-release was a pretty significant indicator that with the right re-release, these movies can do well. And I'm not sure if it's getting IMAX. There's a lot of competition for IMAX this weekend, and I'm not sure if they're going to do that with Back to the Future. I think they may try to get into IMAX theaters or at least some premium like Dolby and things like that. But because of that, I think it's going to do well. I think it's going to do like $6 million or more. It's going to be right there with Begonia and some of the movies from last weekend. But let's see what else is coming out this weekend. Again, so far we have K-pop Demon Hunters, we have Begonia expanding, and we have Back to the Future. We do have another movie getting a wide release. This one opens on a Wednesday. It is a kind of a stranger, smaller movie, I should say. But it's getting a release into like 750 theaters by Roadside Attractions. It's a movie called Anniversary. So let's look at a trailer.
Mr. and Mrs. Taylor, it's lovely to meet you. I almost forgot. Happy anniversary.
Oh, happy anniversary, happy anniversary, happy anniversary, happy anniversary. Pour a cheerful toast and fill it, happy anniversary. But be careful you don't spill it, happy anniversary. Oh!
Okay, there was no way I was going to not include that Flintstones Happy Anniversary video. I literally post that on friends and colleagues' social feeds like every time they celebrate the anniversary. It is a thing I've been doing. Oddly, that song in the Flintstones was based on a real song that's actually used in this movie that I'm going to talk about. It's a drama from a Polish filmmaker named Jan Komosa. He made this fantastic Polish drama called Corpus Christi, which actually got nominated for an Oscar. And oddly, I actually did a Q&A with him for that movie when I was doing this awards run. Great guy. Movie itself, not so great. Yeah, it's a political drama about a family that's kind of like gets destroyed by talking about politics and again dealing with politics. I'll have a full review in the written part of this, but what it does have is has this great cast, including Diane Lane, who hasn't done anything in a long time, Kyle Chandler, who also great, but then it has like this young cast, including Zoe Deutsch, Madeline Brewer, Phoebe Divin, or I don't know how to pronounce her name. She's the one from Bridgerton, which I've never seen. Dylan O'Brien, McKenna Grace, who was just in Regretting You, and Daryl McCormick. It's a great cast. It is kind of not a great movie. It's being released by Roadside Attractions, and I honestly don't know what they're doing for promotion for it. I really haven't heard anything. I mean, I literally saw this movie on the release schedule like months ago, had no idea what it was, never saw the trailer, never bothered to watch a trailer, and I finally saw the movie. I kind of hated it. I think it's, a political movie in this age. I mean, yeah, it's obviously timed with the elections next week, which they're not really any major elections. I mean, the mayor of New York City, governor of Jersey, a couple of things, but it's not a year for Senate or House or president or anything like federal. So it's a kind of a weird release. I'm not really sure why they're releasing it so wide. I mean, it's going to be in 750 theaters on Wednesday. By the weekend, I mean, if this brings in $1 million, I'll be shocked. I mean, it's not going to be in the top 10. Most people won't even know about it. I don't recommend it. So anyway, that's also coming out. Yeah, looking at my top 10 for the week, I only see one other thing that might get into the top 10. And, I'll play a trailer quickly. If the visuals for that movie look familiar or look pretty cool, then you must have seen S.S. Rajamouli's RRR, which opened in America in 2022. It did pretty well, actually. RRR wasn't Rajamouli's first movie. He's a Indian filmmaker who works in the Telugu region of the country. So he uses Telugu language for his movies. But he made two previous movies. In 2015, he made Bahubali: The Beginning, and in 2017, he made Bahubali 2: The Conclusion. I haven't seen either one of these, but they were on Netflix for a long time. And now he's created a thing called Bahubali: The Epic, which is basically those first two movies squished together, re-edited, remastered, and being released by Variance Films, who is an American distributor who uh, played a part in RRR's release here. Um, but that would be in about 400 theaters, and frankly, the popularity of movies from India, either Bollywood or Tollywood, whatever you want to call it, they've been doing pretty well. I mean, these movies get into the top 10, and this is a popular enough movie that, being released in theaters with a little more promotion with this new version, which is 4 hours long, mind you. I mean, if I had 4 hours to get to theater, I would probably go see it in a theater because I've never had the chance before. I missed it when it came out the first time. Both those movies did pretty well. The sequel did, I think it opened with like 10.4 million in North America in just 425 theaters. This is also in about 400 something theaters, and I mean, I don't think it's going to do 10 million, but I mean, I think it'll do 2, maybe 3 million. It'll get into the top 10 for sure. It'll be a mix of like new fans from RRR and and fans of the original movies who just haven't seen them in theaters. So I think that's going to do pretty well this weekend. Those are mostly the one movies worth talking about. There are other re-releases. The question I had about the IMAX theaters was the problem was that Sinners is being re-released into IMAX. Sinners is a Ryan Coogler's movie. It was a vampire action movie that came out in March, I believe, or it was April. I think it was April. April. But it hasn't been in theaters since July, so re-releasing it for Halloween kind of makes sense. Especially since Warner Brothers can get the IMAX screens. But I don't know. A lot of people have seen it. It's been on HBO Max for months. I'm not sure how many people are going to go out to see it in IMAX again because, maybe a lot of people have already seen it there. But it is the fifth highest grossing movie of the year. It made 278.5 million domestically, and that was when it left theaters in July. So it was only in theaters for a little less than 3 months. But opened with 48 million. There's going to be a chance to see it in IMAX again. It's the IMAX theaters in generally are there's just so much stuff just coming in, coming out. I'm not sure if Back to the Future is going to be in IMAX. Bahubali is going to be in IMAX, but just Wednesday night when it opens for a special like one night. And then Sinners. Sinners are going to try to get to theaters. I mean, it's like I said, the Halloween is just a strange time for movies anyway. Having Halloween on Friday makes just me think that maybe some movies won't do that well on Friday, but might do well over the weekend. Anniversary, probably not. Begonia, maybe. The question is whether or not, like movies like Black Phone 2, whether people will go out to see it on Halloween and then after Halloween's over, it just dies for the rest of the weekend, or it's hard. It's hard to tell. It's hard to tell because I'm not sure how many people want to see horror movies after Halloween is over and done. That's generally what happens. Next, I want to talk about. Oh, I also want to talk about what's going to happen with this podcast. Again, I'm kind of running a little longer. I don't want to go over 15 minutes on this, but I'm going to be using this for a lot of different things. I'm going to be using it to talk about the box office for the weekend, some of the movies. I won't be doing reviews so much, but I will be talking about awards once that comes up. Will have interviews. I am planning on I'm trying to do one interview a week with some filmmaker, actor, whatever, as I've been doing for years. We'll see how that goes. I mean, I have a couple lined up already. I have one for next week already. But otherwise, I'll be talking about, I might get some guests. We'll see. This is a very, very like off the cuff, just trying to see what happens and see if people like it and if I should continue it. I will talk about some award stuff now before I go. And one thing I want to talk about is two movies that I love that were kind of in the awards conversation, maybe one more than the other, and that's Springsteen, Delivery from Nowhere, and Richard Linklater's Blue Moon. These are my like top two movies of the year so far. I love them. I think the performances by Ethan Hawke in Blue Moon and Jeremy Allen White in the Springsteen movie are both top notch. They both deserve Oscars. But the thing is, you look at the box office for them. Okay, so that's the weekend box office. You see Springsteen, Deliver Me From Nowhere, made 9.1 million. Not great. A lot of people were thinking it was going to do like 15, 16, maybe even 20. Not even close. Way below expectations. Then Blue Moon expanded wide into 689 theaters, and you see that did really bad. Less than a million expansion, 776 per theater. That's just not good. It went from like being like a platform release, which was okay, to a wide release that like had no promotion. Again, I think Ethan Hawke is great in it. I think the screenplay is great. Richard Linklater, one of his better movies in a while. And yet, they didn't do well. And you kind of look at that and go like, well, if these movies bombed, do they still have Oscar chances? And it's a good question. I mean, there have been movies that haven't done great, but still led to Oscars. Sony Pictures Classics especially has had Oscar winners for movies that have not done that great at the box office. I'm thinking of like Anthony Hopkins and The Father. I can't remember how Still Alice did, but Julianne Moore won an Oscar for that. And I think the key point here is that I'm just looking right now. Still Alice made 18.6 million, which is actually not bad for that movie. But these movies, I mean, those movies make more money once they get into the Oscar conversation. That movie in particular opened in January, so it was already kind of in, in that conversation. But yeah, but Blue Moon, I mean, again, I really hope Sony Classics can, put a lot of push behind it because it's a great screenplay, great performance, it deserves it. And also, I feel like the members of the Academy, they don't necessarily go to movie theaters. They don't look at box office so much, but they will see these movies. If it's on the platform, it has Ethan Hawke, and Ethan Hawke comes around in glad hands. They'll go see it. They've heard about the Springsteen movie. They'll catch it on the platform. They don't have to see it in the theaters when it's out there now. So I'm not sure if this box office for those two movies will necessarily hurt it so much or hurt them so much. I think Jeremy Allen White gets nominated, and he might even win the Oscar for Springsteen because the acting branch will see it. They will nominate him, and then once he's nominated in January, the whole Academy is going to check out the movie to see if his performance really is worth the nomination. And hopefully the same thing happens with Ethan Hawke. I think he deserves to be in that same conversation. I feel like that movie is just as good. It's not doing that great box office wise. Who knows? I don't want to diss Sony Classics. I mean, I'm sure they're doing their best, but I mean, they don't have the kind of money to push something as like Disney does, or even the main Sony. I mean, Sony Pictures in general does not put a lot behind the Sony Classics movies. They kind of just throw them out there. And unfortunately, Blue Moon is one of those movies. I mean, it's been premiered back in February at Berlin. Not a lot of people were talking about it. It played like the New York Film Festival. Not a lot of people were talking about it. I don't know. I feel like it's really kind of getting it's really getting kind of buried and lost in the shuffle of many October movies, and there are more to come as well. But I think that's it for me this week. Next week there's a new Predator movie called Predator Badlands, and that's gonna be the main movie for next week. Then there's a lot of other movies, smaller movies, also getting wide releases. Again, don't have any theater counts for any of them, but I mean, it's hard to believe any of these other movies will make more than 3 or 4 million or less, while Predator is gonna be the big movie. But I'll talk about it next week. Hopefully you like this. Please leave comments, email me, whatever. Let me know how it goes, and I will now go and edit this. Take care. Here are the Dirt Bombs again.
I had such a good time, y'all.